Mr. Speaker, the Premier plans to cut $70 million out of provincial revenue by awarding the financially comfortable and the wealthy with a reduction in income taxes. An unfunded gift, Mr. Speaker, which is most generous to those earning between $143,000 and $162,000 per year, plays Scrooge to those in the lowest tax bracket. Mr. Speaker, if there's $70 million to spend, why would the Premier not use it to open urgent care centres for people without family doctors, to divert them from the ERs, give our nurses a break, or institute a basic livable income for the disabled, many of whom are living in deep poverty? Mr. Speaker, why is the Premier giving $70 million to those who don't need it instead of giving it to those who do?
Minister of Finance and Treasury Board.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the member opposite for the question. Although, you know what, saying that we did not help the less fortunate, saying that we did not help the lower tax levels is absolutely false. My friend from the post-secondary education, training and labour department raised the minimum wage by $1, then another $1, and now it's going to be tied to CPI, which will be a large amount next April the 1st. So we absolutely have done that. We've absolutely helped out with daycare costs. Yes, it is a program that we're working on with the federal government, but early education and child care development, we've absolutely helped out with daycare costs. We're budgeting for this generation. We're budgeting for the less than fortunate people. We're also budgeting for the middle class. The first two personal income tax drops we had were absolutely for seniors and for the lower earners. But you know what? This one will help the middle class as well. I think that we should be helping all New Brunswickers, and that is what we're absolutely trying to do with this tax cut, Mr. Speaker.
Fredericton-South, the leader of his party.
Mr. Speaker, Bloomberg reports this year that Arthur Irving increased his wealth by $1.18 billion. I had to read that over 3 or 4 times. $1.18 billion increase in wealth in a year. The Premier is gifting Mr. Irving a reduction in his taxes when people are living in tents, which this government should apologize for, waiting in ERs for up to 21 hours, which this government should apologize for, and going to school hungry without a lunch program, which this government should apologize for. The Premier is gifting Mr. Irving a reduction in his taxes when nurses have been sacrificing their mental health and families, trying to hold a crumbling health care system together without fair compensation, which this government should apologize for. How is the Premier advising his caucus members to explain to their constituents that they're handing out money to those who don't need it and denying it to those who do?
The Honourable the Premier.
Mr. Speaker, what we're doing in all cases is trying to find innovative ways to have people want to come and work and live here in New Brunswick. And what we're seeing is that's happening in unprecedented numbers, Mr. Speaker. So when people look here, they don't want to look at the highest tax jurisdiction in the country. They want to say, what's the qualities of working and living in New Brunswick? And Mr. Speaker, we raised the wages. And when the leader of the Green Party talks about the nurses and such, we raised all of that, Mr. Speaker, made compatible with the whole Atlantic region. So you can see across the country we're competing for the same resources, Mr. Speaker. So what are the wins that bring people to New Brunswick? A better lifestyle, a cost of living that's second to none, Mr. Speaker, and areas that we will focus and continue to focus on those that need the money in order to survive, Mr. Speaker, in order to continue to live here. But, Mr. Speaker, the people that are paying their bills are the middle class sector, the people that are paying taxes, spending money, so we get revenue on HST, on personal income tax. Mr. Speaker, that's where we're seeing the gains, because more people are working in this province than ever before, Mr. Speaker, than ever before. Thank you.
Member for Fredericton-South and leader of his party.
Mr. Speaker, on top of the $70 million cut to provincial revenue, the Premier plans to axe another $28 million from provincial property taxes paid by property developers. That's almost $100 million chopped out of the budget that's badly needed, Mr. Speaker, to provide services, like keeping the care sector from collapsing. Our nursing homes have only enough staff to allow residents to have a bath once a week. Once a week, Mr. Speaker. That is extraordinary. Some of this $100 million he wants to cut from the budget could be used to increase wages and hire more staff for our nursing homes. But no, he's gifting the $100 million to high-income earners and property developers. It's as if this is his last chance to reward his friend circle before he retires. So, Mr. Speaker, can the Premier confirm that he plans to retire following this session of the Legislative Assembly?
The Honourable the Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I am proud of what we're accomplishing as a government here. And And you know, when we talk about the resources and could this money be used, Mr. Speaker, we cannot get more resources. We cannot find more people. Every province in the country is searching. So, Mr. Speaker, our goal has to be how do we do things differently? How do we do things more innovatively? But, Mr. Speaker, you attract people, you attract nurses, you attract health professionals, you attract key people to come to your province because it's fair to work here, live here, and be taxed here. And that doesn't matter what area you're in or what demographic you're in. You look at the bigger picture. So, Mr. Speaker, on the energy solution, it's about $300 million or so we're putting into reducing the cost of energy. And I would think the Leader of the Opposition or the Leader of the Green Party would be very focused on that. It's a great program, but I don't necessarily hear that. But nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, there are huge money being spent to reduce consumption, make it more affordable, and we'll continue to look at that in every aspect of what it takes to live and work and thrive here in this wonderful province, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Restigouche-Chaleur.
I